Creating extraordinary success in business and life is absolutely possible. That means more income, more freedom, and more energy for what you value most without the hustle or burnout. I'm Laura Flood, certified success and high performance coach, CEO for over 30 years, and a multiple seven-figure entrepreneur. I've built a profitable, sustainable business while prioritizing my family, my health, and my happiness, and I'm here to help you do the same. This is the Redefining Success podcast, where I'll share the strategies, tools, and the mindset shifts to help you grow with intention, live a life you love, and create lasting happiness, wealth, and freedom without losing yourself in the process. Let's dive in. There's a version of you who used to just go for it. You made the decision and figured it out. You would have an idea and just act on it. You didn't need to feel completely ready before you moved. And you built something real from that version of yourself, a profitable business, great reputation, and lots of revenue, a life that looks from the outside like it's successful. And somewhere in the process of building all of that, the decisions got heavier because you have so much more to protect now. You have people depending on you. There's money on the line, a reputation that you've spent years earning. So, of course, you think differently at this level than you did when you were first starting out. The problem isn't that you're just being careful. It becomes an issue when careful becomes your default state. It's something to notice when you're spending most of your time maintaining what you have instead of building what you actually want next. Or when the ideas keep coming, but the decisions keep waiting, and I need to think about this a little bit longer has been your answer for months. That's not strategy, that's shrinking. And today we're going to talk about why it happens at this level and what you actually do about it. Welcome back to Redefining Success. As a high achiever listening to this show, I'm sure that you have years of evidence that you can figure things out. You've built a successful business or career. You've handled hard seasons, and you've made decisions that other people probably wouldn't have had the courage to make. So, why does the next level suddenly feel so hard? Here's what I see happen to high achievers all of the time, especially after you've already created a certain level of success. You start shrinking. And I know that word might feel strange because you probably don't see yourself that way. You're still showing up and working. Your business may even be doing really well, but the shrinking happens in the decisions that you're avoiding and the ideas that you keep talking yourself out of. It shows up when you know you want something different, but you keep finding very logical reasons to wait. Sometimes it sounds like, I need to just think about this a little bit longer, or maybe now just isn't the right time. And sometimes it's harder to recognize because you're doing so much. You're just spending most of your time doing things that you already know how to do. And that's where I want to go in today's conversation. Here's what I want you to understand, because I've experienced this myself, and I see it in my clients all of the time. Success changes the way you make decisions. Early in your career in business, you didn't have as much to protect. You were building and experimenting. You expected to figure things out as you went. But then you became successful, and now you have revenue to protect. You may have employees or clients depending on you. You've built a reputation, and your decisions affect more than just you. So of course you're going to think differently at this level. The problem comes when being responsible slowly turns into being overly careful. You want certainty before you make a move, and you spend longer analyzing decisions and looking for proof that something's going to work before you commit to it. And the interesting part is that you can justify almost all of it. You can tell yourself that being strategic and waiting for the right time is the right thing to do. Or you need a little more information. Or you should probably finish a few other things first. Those can all sound like very smart business decisions. but sometimes it's just fear holding you back. I've been in business for more than 30 years, and I've built businesses that have generated millions of dollars in revenue, sold over 1,800 and counting homes, built teams, made investments. I've changed directions and started completely new things. There have been plenty of times when I knew I wanted another level, and I could feel myself becoming more cautious about going after it. And what I learned is that confidence required for your next level is very different from the confidence you have right now. Right now, you have the evidence for the person that you already are. You know how to run your business. You know how to make the amount of money and serve your clients. You know how to operate inside the life that you've already created. And your next level, it doesn't come with that same history yet. You may want to double your business, change your model completely, or maybe even just become more visible. Maybe you've been wanting to build a team or launch something new, work less hours, or finally pursue something that's been sitting in the back of your mind for years. Whatever your version is, you don't have the same amount of evidence there yet. And I want you to notice what you do when you reach that edge. Do you move toward it? Or do you suddenly become very busy maintaining everything that you've already built? Here's what I want you to do this week. Pick one thing that you've been saying you want and you haven't made much progress toward. Then pull up your calendar from the last 2 weeks. How much time did you actually spend moving toward it? And I don't want you to judge the answer, just take a look. Because your calendar will often show you where you're playing it safe before your brain is willing to admit it. If you say that you want to grow your business, but almost all of your time is spent maintaining the business that you already have, pay attention to that. If you want to become more visible, but you find yourself always perfecting things behind the scenes, pay attention to that too. You might say that you want more freedom, but you keep filling every available hour with work, and that's something worth looking at as well. And then ask yourself one question. What am I protecting by staying where I am? And the answer may surprise you. You might be protecting your reputation or trying to protect yourself from making the wrong decision. You may be protecting the identity that you've worked really hard to build. And once you can see what you're protecting, you can decide whether it still deserves that much power over what you do next. You don't have to throw away everything that got you here, but you do need to recognize when protecting what you've built is keeping you from building what you actually want next. Now, I want to spend a little more time on what shrinking actually looks like, because I don't think most high achievers recognize it when they're doing it. When you hear the word shrinking, you might picture someone who doesn't believe in themselves or is afraid to take chances, and that probably doesn't sound like you at all. You've taken plenty of chances and done so many hard things. I'm sure you've probably made decisions other people told you were crazy, and you figured out how to make them work. At this level, shrinking is usually much harder to see. Sometimes it looks like over-preparing for something that you're already well qualified to do. You tell yourself that you're making it better, but you've been working on the same offer, website, or plans for months, and it still hasn't made its way into the world. Or you might be staying really busy doing work that you've already mastered because it feels productive. Your days are full and you're accomplishing plenty, but very little of it requires you to become the person who can create what you want next. And this is a big one. You start consuming more than you're creating. You hire another coach or take another course. You listen to another podcast or read another book. And there is nothing wrong with any of those things. I invest heavily in coaching and education for myself. But There's a point where learning becomes a way of delaying the moment when you have to trust yourself. You already know enough to make the next move, but you keep looking for someone else to tell you what that move should be. I also see this happen when you start asking too many people for their opinions. You have an idea that you're excited about, and before you even have given yourself time to explore it, you start asking other people what they think. And now you have 6 different opinions in your head, and somehow you're so much less clear than you were before you asked anyone. Every time you know what you want and you talk yourself out of it, you teach yourself that your instincts are not enough. Every time you wait for someone else to validate a decision that you already know you want to make, it gets a little harder to hear yourself the next time. I want to share something that comes up more than you might think. I worked with a woman who on paper had everything she needed to move forward. She was smart and capable. She'd already built something really amazing. But she kept hiring the next coach, taking the next course, consuming the next thing. And when we started working together, I just asked her one question. What is it that you're still looking for? And she got quiet, and then she said something that I've never forgotten. She said, I think I already know what to do. I just don't know what will happen to my life if I actually do it. She wasn't afraid of failing. She was afraid of succeeding. Specifically, she was afraid that she thought that becoming more visible and even more successful, it might threaten the relationships that mattered most to her. So she kept learning instead of deciding. She kept consuming instead of moving forward with things, because as long as she was still preparing, she never had to find out. What we uncovered together was that she had been making herself smaller because she was trying to protect something she loved. And once she could see that, she had a real choice. It wasn't between staying small or blowing up her life. She had to choose between hiding from a conversation she needed to have and actually having it. And this is what the next level often requires. Not necessarily a new strategy, but an honest conversation with yourself first, and then sometimes with the people around you. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I need to think about it, get really curious about what it is you still need to think about. Is there information that's actually missing? Or maybe a financial consideration that you need to evaluate? Do you already know what you want to do? And are you waiting to feel completely comfortable doing it? Before you ask anyone else what they think, write down what you would do if you had to make the decision today. And then write out one sentence for why. And notice how fast you know. There's a difference between making a thoughtful decision and delaying a decision because you don't trust yourself to handle what comes after. Confidence doesn't require you to know that every decision is going to work. It comes from trusting yourself to handle the outcome. And maybe the new offer doesn't sell the way you hoped, or you make the hire and realize 6 months later it was not the right fit. You might become more visible and someone doesn't like what you have to say. So what happens next? You learn something and you adjust. You make another decision. You've been doing this your entire career, and it's important to start remembering that. Okay, here's the last takeaway, and I think this one is the most powerful. For any decision that you're sitting on right now, instead of asking, what should I do? Ask yourself, what would the version of me who already has the life I want do here? And really sit with that. If you want a business that generates more revenue without requiring more hours from you, how does that version of you spend her time? If you want to become known for something bigger, what is the future you willing to say publicly that you've been hesitant to say out loud? If you want more space in your life, what would you no longer give your time and energy to? And you don't have to change everything this week. I want you to pick one decision and make that decision from where you're going instead of automatically repeating what you've always done. This is something that I've had to do at every new level of my own life and business. There are things that helped me become successful that I would never choose to build my life around today. And there are ways that I used to spend my time that absolutely don't make sense to do anymore. And opportunities I would have acted on years ago that I can look at now and know immediately they're not for me. And that doesn't mean that those earlier decisions were wrong. They got me here. But I'm not trying to stay here, and neither are you. This is really at the heart of redefining success. You get to decide what the next version of success actually looks like for you. Maybe you want more money, a bigger business, a larger impact, or maybe part of your next level is having your business take up less of your life, and you get to want that too. What matters is that you stop automatically building from an old definition of success and start making decisions that support the one that you actually want now. For now, I want to leave this section with one question. What would you choose differently today if you were making the decision for the life you want next? There's a really good chance you already know what you need to do next. You probably know what conversation you need to have, which decision has been sitting there waiting for you. And you may know that something in your business, it just needs to change. There may be something that you want to do that you haven't fully admitted to yourself yet, because once you admit it, you have to decide what you're willing to do about it. High achievers are very good at turning uncertainty into work. We take the time to research and design a 10-point plan, and then we find something productive to do while the decision that we actually need to make just sits there waiting. And your next level is probably not hiding inside another hour of research. It may be sitting inside a decision that you already know you need to make. So I want you to go back to the 3 takeaways from today. Run the calendar audits, do the already know exercise, and apply that future self filter to one decision this week. Not all 3 at once, just do one, the one that already came up for you while you were listening, because this is how you stop shrinking. You start showing yourself that when you know something matters, you're willing to act on it. And every time you do that, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You start becoming someone who trusts their own decisions again. I have been doing this for more than 30 years, and I still have moments when I question myself. I still have decisions that feel uncomfortable. That never goes away. There are still times when I have to remind myself that I've figured out a lot of things that I didn't know how to do when I started. I don't need to know exactly how everything is going to turn out before I move. I need to trust myself enough to know that I will always figure things out, whatever happens next. And I want that for you too. So if you've recognized yourself somewhere in this episode, pay attention to that. Maybe you've been calling it overthinking when you've actually stopped trusting yourself. Or you might be staying busy with what you already know how to do, while the thing that you really want keeps getting pushed further down the list. You don't need to judge yourself for any of it. Just decide what you want to do now so you can see it. Because I know what happens when you stay here too long. Another 6 months go by. And before you know it, another year passes while you're just waiting for the right time to make a change that you already know you want to make. And meanwhile, your life just keeps moving. And I don't want you looking back a year from now knowing that you were ready today and you kept hesitating. The Redefining Success Challenge starts September 14th. And over the course of the challenge, I'm going to help you get clear about what you want your next level of success to look like and really help you start making the changes that will get you there. we're going to look at your business and the way you're performing inside of it. But we're also going to take a look at your life, because I care about the revenue and the results, but I also care about how much of your life your success is costing you. I really want you to build something that gives you the income and the opportunities that you want while still having the time and energy to actually enjoy the life that you're working so hard to create. If you know you're capable of more and you don't know why you haven't done anything about it, I created this for you. You don't need to come in knowing exactly what needs to change. You just need to be willing to take an honest look at where you are and then decide that you're ready to do something with what you find. You'll find all of the details in the link to join in the show notes. And whether you join me or not, please don't walk away from this episode and ignore what came up for you. You already know that you're capable. You've spent years proving that. Now it's time to stop shrinking around what you want next. I'll see you next week. After listening today and realizing that you're ready for something to change in the way that you're running your business and living your life, I created the Redefining Success Challenge for you. This is a 1-month experience designed for high-achieving entrepreneurs who have built successful businesses, but know that their business still requires way too much of them. Together, we'll look at what you actually want this next chapter of success to look like. We'll take a look at where your business has become too dependent on you. And of course, all the shifts that will give you more clarity, capacity, and control over your time. You'll increase your confidence, focus, and profitability, and also implement high-performance habits and systems with practical steps that you can start implementing immediately. The investment is $297, and you'll have lifetime access to the entire challenge, so you can come back to the trainings and tools anytime you need them. If you're ready to build a business that supports the life that you really want to live, I would love to have you inside the Redefining Success Challenge. Head to lauraflood.com/challenge for all the details and to join us.